It's a new year. 2023 is here. Putting on my list of minis. New season, let's cheers. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the past. Time to get on the Not Your Average Joel podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the season 3 finale of Not Your Average Joel. I can't believe that I've made it here already to the season finale. I'm already at episode 75. Before I even say anything about what the topic is about or who all is on here today, I do want to take just a small moment to kind of brag on myself just a little bit. So I'm just proud to know that I've got to reconnect with so many people in my life, whether it's people that are, of course, in my family or friends that I haven't seen in a long time, or just anybody that I've gotten to know over the past, however many years of my life, probably in the last from teenager to now, and getting to reconnect with people. And I'm just glad that there's been people that have been willing to come on here. In fact, I've had 38 different guests here on the channel. I think that's amazing that 38 people were willing to come on the channel so far, and 12 states are being represented. I think that's amazing that 12 states from people just from all over the US. And then also somebody from across the pond has been on here before too. So I had to work around that with somebody up in the UK, and got to do that as well. So I wanted to take just that moment just to thank all 38 of my guests that have been on here in the past. And I'm just glad that I'm getting to have this experience, just getting to embark on this podcasting journey. So thank you, everybody that has joined. So today we do have two guests here that are back. They've both been here before, so I want to welcome both of them back. So I first want to welcome back Dreama. So it's been a little bit since she's been on here. She was on season 1, and we talked about friendship and questions within that, what makes a good friend and stuff like that. So, I'm glad to have her back. And ever since she's been gone, she had some big news that she shared not too long ago that she is expecting a baby boy. So congratulations.
Woo! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, welcome back. And I definitely appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much for having me back on. It was so fun last time, and such a good time. It's been so hard to get me rescheduled because I do have a toddler and I have so much going on with my businesses. And I was also in real estate school at the time. But I would say things have mellowed out, but I think I've just gotten better at managing everything all at once. But I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me back. I'm so excited.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad to have you back, and I'm glad that you've gotten to a point to where you're able to manage things a little bit better. I know here with 2 kids, I know that's going to be another challenge to embark on, but I'm definitely excited to see that journey happen for you, most definitely. So, and the next person that I want to welcome back has been on here a few times already. So this is DeAnna. Y'all remember her from when I met her not even a year ago in Ireland. And we've been able to keep up ever since. And, I even got to see her here a few months ago when I went up to New York City, and we got to meet up for dinner with a few other friends. So it was definitely good seeing her, and I'm definitely glad that she is here today. So welcome back, and thank you for being here.
Hi guys, thanks Joel so much for having me back. One of my favorite topics, I will say, entrepreneurship, and I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, everybody, today's topic of the day is on entrepreneurship. I actually, to be honest, before I started this recording and invited anybody into this Zoom meeting, I had to look up how to pronounce this because it's such a big word. I was like, how do you pronounce entrepreneurship? So it's I had to take some time to practice. So I'm glad that DeAnna said it perfectly, and here I am over here trying to struggle even saying the word. So that is today's topic of the day, and this is the final topic that we are going to talk about on this season of Not Your Average Joel. And I think one neat thing about this topic is that is a topic that I'm not that familiar with. I don't really know much about the ins and outs of entrepreneurship, and I think that this would be a good opportunity to have more of an open ear to what both Dreama and DeAnna have to say regarding this, because I'm guessing for both of them, like wanted to do this topic, that they both have experience with this. So I know that I definitely want to just take it all in and like be able to learn from both of them. And I hope that viewers, you learn stuff from both of them as well. And, take something really good and informative out of this. So, maybe inspire you to want to start your own business or to make your business even better than where you're at right now. So I do have a few questions that I want to ask them. But before I get into these three questions, I actually brought up a question to them right before I started this episode. So I'm not sure if this podcast to me is considered like if this is a business or not. So I was asking them, do they think that I am an entrepreneur when it comes to this podcast? So what do y'all think? I'll let Dreama answer first.
I think that it honestly depends on how you view it. Because if you market it and plan to continue marketing it and yourself, and if you have plans for it in the future on how to make it lucrative, and all that good stuff, then yeah, I absolutely do think that it's a business, because there are a ton of podcasts that are $1 million entities. So I definitely think that if you view it that way and that's your plan for the business, and you have these, wheels turning behind the scenes of places you want to take it, and you're taking the steps to get there, then I would consider business. Yes, I would consider you an entrepreneur.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I like that way of thinking because like I think in season one, when I started this, I probably thought of it more as like a hobby. But then as I started getting more into it with like season two and even this current season, I've been starting to like brainstorm ideas of like, maybe I should create a website for this and maybe I should create like little like TikTok videos for this and stuff like that. So maybe I am starting to get a little bit of a like entrepreneur like mindset going on. Like when at the first point of me wanting to do this, I was just thinking of it as like something fun to do, which is still fun, of course, but like looking at it more than just like a hobby.
I think that the best kind of entrepreneurship is when you do it because you're passionate about it, and you start out doing it because it's just something you simply enjoy. Because I think if you love it, then your heart's going to be in it. And if your heart's in it, then you're going to succeed. So I think that it takes a lot of determination, but I think that if you love it, then the rest of it's easy. I feel like you have to have that organic, genuine care and investment in what it is that you do. So I think that you have the biggest piece of the puzzle, and obviously you're very dedicated to it. And so I think that you pretty much have all of the elements that you need to be successful in any business.
I love that. And you literally took the words out of my mouth, Dreama, for me, in terms of it. It's all about how can you turn your passion into something you love becoming profitable, right? So like Joel, what you were saying, TikToks, different forms of like digital marketing, you can really strive and find your path with that, and also develop your own culture and like social media brand. And if you're able to link that with like your Instagram, your TikTok, your this, then you're able to get into like that influencer zone, right? So you're able to get into having companies come to you to advertise in between podcasts. That could be one form of revenue. Or it could be like you partnering with a luggage company if you're doing a TikTok or a podcast on travel or something in terms of that. Or it could be an affiliate link with like Amazon.com. These are all related Amazon products to this podcast that we're talking about here. So there's like all these different ways and all these different things that you can essentially revenue or like learn to make revenue from whatever your passion is or whatever you're working on. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is at the end, is just finding a hustle, diving into it, and finding your way of making that money.
That's really good. I really like that mindset and just that just that perseverance to like go after those kind of things. Like when it comes to social media, I do see where people, have like these promos or like ads that like, go along with their podcasting and or just even like becoming to where like they end up becoming a like influencer. So I think that's really good like things to even keep in my mind as well. So I'm kind of glad that I asked that question because I feel like it gives me even more of a reassurance because I didn't want to say like, I didn't want that like example. Like, I guess I'm going to give it a quick example. Like I hear people on Instagram, like, I'm a model, but it's like, are you a real model or are you like Instagram model? I guess that's why I wanted to like ask about like, do you like if I said I was an entrepreneur, I don't want people to think you're not really an entrepreneur. Like you don't have a big business with a team and stuff like that. So that's why I wanted to ask just to make sure.
But one thing I want to point out is people can say whatever they want to say. It's ultimately at the end what's making you happy and what you're seeing yourself drive results. So I've recently transitioned into my social media platform being more of like that influencer, going more onto like travel influencing. And there have definitely been friends who are like, sometimes your posts are annoying, DeAnna. Sometimes I don't want to see you in these different countries or see these constant videos or this, that, or the other thing. But guess what? They're not seeing the success I'm seeing. And if they really don't like it, they don't have to follow me on that channel in terms of it. That's really up to them, candidly. So as long as you're being true to yourself, you're seeing the results. I think it's okay to brand yourself however you want to brand yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a good way. And that's like even some really good advice. I know later on we're going to talk about some more advice that like we can give to entrepreneurs and like or people that want to start their own business. So I think that's like a really good like starting point like with this as well as just like that just seems like a very motivating topic, which I'm excited to get into these questions now, that we've kind of covered this part. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get into this first question for y'all. So the first question that I have is what are some traits that makes someone a successful entrepreneur? And I'll have Dreama start.
So for me, I did write down kind of pre-done answers that I can just kind of go off of, so that I won't be grasping at straws. But I think it's the main thing is a drive for success, and create. So I think that I know that quote, that Shakespeare quote, that some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. I think that for me, I was born with a drive. I was the little 3-year-old kid who would be on a park bench and I would tell an old man that I had never met before my 20-year plan. Like what kind of house I was going to have, what kind of car I'm going to have when I'm 25. Like I had all the plans. I was always very verbal and very focused and driven. And so I think some people are just like that. And I think some people develop it. I will say that having my daughter jump started that part of me that was always there, that always kind of planned but didn't execute. And so I think having that drive, whatever it is that pushes you to have that drive, whether it's a child, your own passion, a new quarter life crisis, midlife crisis, whatever it is, take those things. Sometimes it's defeat, sometimes it's failure in other aspects that gives you that push or that drive. Whatever awakens it in you, I think taking that and using it to fuel your dreams and to fuel those ideas that you have maybe written down somewhere or in the back of your head that you just never really pursued. I think that's huge. I think that some traits for me, I think having a story, like having some sort of adversity that you've gone through can be a huge drive for entrepreneurship and success in general. I grew up in poverty in a lot of ways, especially when I was younger. One moment of clarity I had the other day was I was remembering being like 4 years old, and I had a newborn baby brother, and my sister was a year younger, so she was 3. And I remember we had been living in a really bad neighborhood and our house got broken into and someone stole all of my little brother's newborn items, like his clothes, his diapers, his wipes, and we were already really poor. So my mom was we woke up to that, you know, person breaking in and taking all the things. Obviously, it's good that we were safe and it was just things they took, but it was, I remember that being one of my core memories, one of my very first memories. And I remember the next day, us not having very much food in the house and walking to town because something had happened to our car. I don't remember what. And I remember walking to town with my siblings and my mom and us taking turns holding my little brother, who was an infant, walking miles and miles to the store to like get a bag of chips to share, you know. And the other day, my husband and I had taken my daughter to the park in my new car that I just got. And we were, you know, laughing and listening to her like Baby Shark. And we had went, you know, we had a nice lunch, came home, like did all the things. And it was just such a beautiful day out. And I had a moment of clarity on the way home, like where I had that memory. I spoke to my husband about it when we got home and I cried because I was just like, you know, you want to do better than your parents, but just making that her life at that age, at this age, and where I was walking, you know, walking down a main highway, holding my infant brother at 4, you know, to get a bag of chips to share, to like this life now, because, you know, we've both worked really hard to do better. 2 years ago, he was making $16 an hour and now he's making 6 figures. You know, 2 years ago, I was just a stay-at-home mom and now I own 2 businesses and am, you know, starting a new adventure as a, you know, independent contractor in real estate. So it's like we went from having 0 cars and borrowing a family member's car to having 2 new cars. You know, those are huge, huge blessings. That, and so I think that I, for one, never look down on anyone else. And I always think if I see somebody down, I'm like, it can all change in a year. I never look down on someone else because I just assume that they can get out of it whenever they want. They could have plans right now. They just need the opportunity. So I don't know. I think having that humbleness and that story and that experience, it doesn't have to be as traumatic as my childhood was. It can be anything, but having some sort of adversity can be a huge push, because I have had friends who maybe came from a place of privilege, which is fine, but never really went through anything significant. And my the things I've been through and the way that that affects me as a person to be as driven as I am was intimidating to those friends, or they felt. And it's weird to be jealous of someone else's adversity. It's weird to be jealous of someone going through poverty, but I've experienced that because they just don't have that drive because they've never had to have it. But you know, also I've had friends who grew up really privileged, who've been through personal struggles, like emotional struggles, depression, things like that. I feel like just in general, having something you've had to overcome. That's a long-winded answer, but I think that's huge. And being able to laugh over things that go wrong. Because I feel like if you have a defeatist mentality, you won't succeed in any sort of business. It's not like being a writer. You can have writer's block and, you know, just quit for a little while and let the juices flow again. Like, you have to keep going, because like a body in motion stays in motion, a business and marketing is going to stay being marketed. You can't just quit when people don't like you, when you get a couple bad reviews, when you get some bad comments, when people don't like you. I think that honestly, to be successful, you have to expect people to not like you, because people who are not successful will project their disappointment within themselves. But anyway, that's my answer. Sorry, I'm going to pass it to DeAnna.
That's okay, because candidly, Dreama, like our answers are intertwining on each thing. So I'm going to bring up a study I was reading about a couple months ago, and it was basically Harvard did, I think it was a year or a couple year long study, basically looking at like the entrepreneurship dream, like gene, essentially. If it's something you're born with, is it an experience? Is it like your background that comes in? Like, what drives entrepreneurs to this success? And what they saw is a lot of people had the opportunity or had multiple abilities, but they relied on being like gifted in different factors, and they didn't push themselves because they were too afraid to fail in terms of it. So a lot of people who already had the background, the connections, the monetary, like there to support them in terms of making that jump, they were afraid to make that jump and move forward, versus people who didn't have that background, who was like, hey, I have this amount. They were not afraid of that because they knew, like, hey, I was broke living in my parents' basement, or this, that, or the other thing. And I was still able to I still got here to this point, and I can do it all over again. What is the worst case scenario if I fail? And I think you have to have that type of personality. So like being able to come over those obstacles is super important, because everything is not just going to go up and up and up. Sometimes you may have a quarter like that or a month like that where it's tremendous, but like something is going to happen, and that's okay. That's life, right? Like the life is all about the highs and the lows. If you're flatlining, you're not alive, right? That's your heart monitor right there in terms of it. So I think the word that sums it up together that I use, and there's so many books and studies on it, is grit. And basically what grit boils down to is having that determination to make your innovation and your ideas actually materialistic and physically doing them. So you need to push yourself, because your brain is going to stop you so many times and say, but what if? I think they call it your amygdala, where it develops to try and prevent you from failing, or try and prevent you from doing things that you feel like you can't succeed in. No, don't think about that what if. Count to 5 and move forward with it. Because if you're constantly thinking about that what if, it's going to be generational. You're not going to move anywhere forward in terms of your family, in terms of this, that, or the other thing. Take the leap. You have friends, you have family, things will work out.
Ooh, okay. I just got like goosebumps when both of y'all were talking, because I felt like y'all both like mentioned some like really good things that really hit me, that like makes me want to do better with like this journey of being like an entrepreneur with this podcast. So like starting with like what Dreama talked about, like having that drive and like the adversities that you went through, like as much as I, hate that you had to go through something like that at such a young age, I'm glad that you used that like that story or that like moment that happened in your life to build you up and to like make you want to do better and like to like have a better life and like to go after your dreams, and having that determination like DeAnna was mentioning, to like go after your dreams and to like overcome any obstacles, like which is to be expected, that there will be obstacles that come your way, but like just having that drive and like just having that determination to never give up and like not let anybody or anything get in your way, and like just knowing that that you were born with this, and like just knowing that this is like your purpose in life, that like you want to pursue, and like you want to help others with like the business that you were going like that you have. So I think like that's one big thing. And another thing that you mentioned, Dreama, that I really loved was like expect for people not to like you. That's like the hardest thing that hits me sometimes, like with this podcast. Like I feel like sometimes I could be like a people pleaser. Like sometimes I feel like I want people to like me, or like like the podcast and stuff like that. And when like somebody gives criticism, I like the first criticism that I had from a past guest, actually, it kind of hit me hard at first. I mean, I didn't like go cry my eyes out, but it just kind of hit me, and like just kind of made me feel like upset and like kind of down about it, because I was thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing like podcast recording. But then like I had to kind of get people to talk me into like, like not everybody's going to like, like it's maybe just not your vibe. There's different podcasts that have different like, pop culture, or like, about music or stuff like that. Mine's a little bit of a lot of things. Like I guess a bunch of like things. So I guess like maybe the stuff that I talk about maybe is not something that they're interested in, or maybe that another thing like with this past guest is they said that like I talk too much, which is almost ironic if like I know neither of y'all knew me back when I was in high school, but like back in high school, I barely like said a peep. Like I barely spoke a word. And so once I got out of high school, I feel like that like little extrovert that was like hiding deep down in me kind of came out like once I got out of high school. So almost to be told that like you talk too much, you're gonna bore the people. And like it kind of hit me because I was thinking, so like y'all talked about how I was too quiet back in my younger days, but then I kind of go overboard, I guess, and I talk too much now. So I kind of like took that moment, and it kind of like hit me kind of hard just because it was my first like criticism that I got in regards to this. So I think, like I'm glad that I had a good like support system that was like behind me and like was motivating me like, oh, this is your calling. Like, I really do enjoy your stuff. And, maybe there are just some improvements that you need to make, but it's like, don't like give up over just one bad comment. And I think that's, something that I'm glad that Dreama brought up because it's something that personally like affects me. So that was like one big thing for sure. And then like what DeAnna brought up with like having that grit and determination, I think that is something that definitely makes someone a very successful entrepreneur, is like really having that passion, not trying to do it with like not trying to go after like opening a business with only the intentions of making money, which is great, but like also having like making money for doing something that you love, not just doing it for the point of like I'm just here to make the money and go home and like come back and do it all over again. So I think just like having that passion from within and like bringing it out externally and like showing that you care about the business that you want to start up with, and it's more than just making it about you, that like you want to make that business to help serve others in a way. I think there's a lot of things that can make someone a successful entrepreneur, and I think that y'all both brought up some really good points.
Definitely. And I'm sorry, Dreama, I didn't mean to interrupt. Thank you. I just want to add on to your point. So something, I love criticism and I love feedback, but there's a time and a place for it. There's a way you present it to a person. And then you receiving the feedback also have to analyze like who is giving you this feedback, right? Like I always take a step back and not to knock a person, but like, is this person in my category, right? Are they trying to do what I'm trying to do? Are they the knowledge expert? Do they know the amount of information I have? Because candidly, you can have a lot of family and a lot of friends who are trying to say they're supporting you, but they don't know your aspect or your realm in terms of it. Maybe they're not in real estate whatsoever. Maybe they're not in this part of your life whatsoever. So why are you taking feedback from them when they're not in that industry and they don't know the amount of time you invested and research you invested? So I always think about like feedback and criticism. Candidly, do I want to be like that person? Like, are they in my sector? Are they in the area I'm trying to do? Can I feasibly apply this? If not, there's a reason why you're succeeding already in this industry, right? People already love Joel. They're friends with you, they're family with you, like they hang out with you, they listen to your podcast. I mean, you're at least seeing the reaction because they're listening to that. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. And then the second thing I wanted to add on to that too is basically there was another, I'm into studies too, and I listen to a lot of TikTok on different studies, like it's investment and finance and different studies that they do. And one of the studies said that basically if you're presenting an idea, like you're telling people about your business plan, you're 70% not likely to execute on that business plan or that idea or innovation, because majority of people are not going to praise you for that or are not going to tell you to run with that in terms of it. And you already gave your excitement and energy that you could have been using to develop the idea out with presenting that idea and pitching it. So really, I don't want to say internalize your ideas, but think strategically about who you're bringing your ideas to and make sure you're taking the time and investing it in yourself, like that development area.
Yeah, touch on that. I really agree. I think that's something that I've always heard in different ways was like, be careful who you tell your plans to, but not just that. Some people believe, there's Christianity, obviously, and, that's the most prevalent one, which is, there's power of life and death in the tongue and like all of these things, because if you're telling people your plans and they go and talk to someone else and say, well, that's not going to work out, they're not going to succeed. They're putting that out there. and they're using their words, they're using their power of life and death to speak death over your plans. Some people call it karma, some people call it whatever, but I feel like, in every belief system, pretty much you're taught to keep things close to your chest. And I think I do to a certain extent, but I think some people will get discouraged if someone doesn't agree with their plan, support their plans. But I guess because of the adversity that I've been through, I am the kind of person, and everyone's not like this. So don't follow this at home. Definitely do what DeAnna just said. Keep it to yourself. But I'm selective with who I tell. Some people just find out when it's already done. They find out when it's complete. But some people I tell along the way. Because the thing about it is like, when you've been happy and you've lived happily with nothing, there's nothing anyone can say or do to take away my joy, because my joy is so cemented and so grounded in who I know I am not shaken. And that scares people when you're like that. I can lose a friend and I don't think negatively about them. I won't think, God, why aren't they my friend? Or what are they mad at me? I may be for a day. And then I'm like, they weren't meant to be in my life. I'm okay with that. I'm not upset about it. And I let it go. And then eventually and inevitably, I meet a better person or better people that are meant to be in my life. And to touch on what DeAnna said, you have to look at where that advice is coming from. I agree. If someone's not where you want to be and they're not where you are, they're not qualified to have those critiques. Sorry, my child is right outside the room. But they're not qualified to make those kind of critiques or those kind of criticisms. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, because there are people that will purposely give you criticisms that are unfounded with the goal of shaking your confidence, making you doubt yourself, making you change plans, because they can sense that where you're going and the way that you're planning your next moves are on a trajectory to be very successful. And just quite frankly, people who aren't successful don't want to see you succeed 9 times out of 10. And so I think, like, I very much agree with that, what she said. You kind of have to really ground yourself and contemplate what it is. I'm graceful usually in the moment, like, okay, I just nod and say thank you, or just nod and say okay. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I do not care. I do not care what you just said. And not in a disrespectful way, just in a, you've never done this. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just throwing doubt at my confidence. And that's fine. I can let you feel like you did that for the day, but just know I'm going home, still knowing who I am, what I'm doing, and I'm going to kill it, because who run the world? Girls. Beyonce said that. Anyway.
Love that. Yes. And you touched on such an important point too, that I don't think, like, I think we danced around it and it was like a connotation to it, but it's all about who you surround yourself with as you continue to level up, because it's so unique. You think your friends are so happy for you that you're achieving this or you're doing this, and then come to find out when they're not achieving that level of success or this, that, or the other thing, it's a different conversation. It's a different mentality. It's like, almost like you said, Dreama, like they're transcending their feelings of themselves onto you. And in order to continue thriving and pushing yourself, you need to continue meeting and networking and talking to like-minded people and individuals like yourself. So that way, sky's the limit, right? Like you can shoot for the stars, you can aim for whatever you want to be. And like there's people out there who have achieved this amount of success, who have done different things. Like, we need to surround ourselves with those type of people in order to be able to really achieve whatever goal we're setting out to, or whatever dreams or passions we have.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's very good. I definitely appreciate y'all both bringing this to my attention, and to just the idea of knowing like who you should surround yourself with when it comes to like your passions and your dreams with like, the business that you want to go after. Because some people like may give constructive criticism and like really are wanting to help, but then there are also those other people that are there that, have no clue what you're doing. Like, they've never experienced something like podcasting or, whatever the case may be. And they're just almost like trying to find a way to almost just bring you down. And like you said, like Dreama mentioned about speaking life and death, you're trying to speak death into like into the business that that I'm wanting to pursue. So I think that's really important to you. Surround yourself with the right people and to really be strategic with like who you do share your information with, because some people may end up wanting to use it against you, or some people may want to just find a way to bring you down because they may think that you're not going to be able to make that goal, or and then they almost want to let you know and be like blunt about it. But then at the same time, you do have to realize that there are certain people that maybe that is a make or break in a friendship or a relationship that you have to like. It does show that maybe if you're not rooting for me, maybe you shouldn't be in my life. Like maybe you should be, like I wish you the best. I have nothing against you, but like maybe there's just as a reason and a season on why you meet people in your life, and maybe sometimes it does come down to the passions that you have, and if people aren't there rooting for you at the end of the day, I think that you just got to let that person go and move forward. And even though it can be hard, like losing maybe a good friend or a relationship with a family member or what, whoever it may be, but just knowing that you are fulfilling like the calling or the purpose that you have in your life, I think that like transcends everything at the end of the day. So, so I guess moving on to my next question, I know we've talked about like failures already. We talked about how it's expected for like failures to come within like entrepreneurship and all that. So I guess my question would be, like, what are some major challenges that you think that entrepreneurs go through, like that people maybe don't realize? Like, maybe what are some behind the scene things that people don't think, like, wow, like I didn't realize that they go through something like that, or what do y'all think?
I think that that you're not working 9 to 5. So it's 24 hours a day. You're answering client messages when you're not sleeping, or you're not actively busy doing something that takes you away from your device, obviously. You are planning, you're strategizing for your next move, you're making phone calls to vendors. I don't think I even said what my credentials are, but I did just get my real estate license, but that is not what I have been doing. I've actually owned a business for over a year now. Two actually. So I have Dreama's photography and beauty, but the photography side, I do like boudoir photography as well as family photography, and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of events, everything. And then I also do like makeup and hair for like events and for my shoots that I do as well. So I've been doing that and managing that business while going to real estate school to have another side hustle. But for me, sorry to plug myself. But I think I have my hand in a lot of baskets, and also I put down managing and maintaining family life and other ventures while running a business, because I'm not just a businesswoman. I'm not just an entity. I'm also a mom and a wife and a best friend and a daughter. And, I'm also a philanthropist. I love charity. And so, setting aside a time to do that, because for me, and this is what drives me personally, it's not for everyone, but I do want to be a millionaire by 30. But in my whole thing is that let me rephrase that. I will be a millionaire by 30. But my whole drive is to give back to other people. I told you about how I grew up in poverty. Well, around the time that was, like I said, I was 4. Around the time that I was 5 or 6, my parents ended up getting married. My stepdad and my mom, and we bought a house. We didn't have much. We were still poor, but our house was getting broken into. But we had 4 bedrooms, which back then you weren't rich. You didn't have to be rich to have a 4-bedroom house. So it was humble. It was, single family home. But me and my sister would share a room, even though we had a 4-bedroom house a lot of times, because we would have like another whole family of 4 in our spare bedroom, because that's how my mom was. Didn't matter how little we had, we were always giving to other people, helping some get their kids to the doctor, taking care of people's kids for free, doing things to give back, feeding people, clothing people, whatever we could do. And I grew up witnessing that. So I never saw myself as poor, pitiful me. Even though I was going through those things, I was the most responsible person in my family, more so than my parents. I was calling bills and like making payment arrangements for my parents. I was handling the household finances by like 10 years old, which is not normal. I was very parentified at a young age. I had a book where I kept what things had to be paid on what days. And so I've had to be about my business for a long time, and it just never changed. But what I will say is that philanthropy that I learned from a young age, to me, the whole point of success is to give back to others. And I believe, again, some people call it a blessing. Some people call it karma, whatever you want to call it. When you put it out there in the world, when you give to others from your heart, and that is your goal with your success, you know, hey, if I make $1 million next year, I know X amount is going back to help other people. So to me, that's a given off the top. Anything I make will be going back into helping other people. That is what fulfills me as a person. So I feel like when you have a humble and a giving spirit, good things and blessings will come to you. So I'm confident in the person that I am and the heart that I have. And that is why I know I will be successful. Not because of hair, makeup, connections, friendships. I believe that every next step and connection that I will make is on the other side of the next good thing I do. So I focus on doing the good things, and I know good things will come. That's why I hate when people say it must be nice when they see other people succeeding or having nice things. And my mom always told me, you don't say it must be nice, you say they must be nice. Because that's how success is really made. You can get success by undercutting others, but you won't keep it. And if you do keep it, you won't be happy, because on the inside, you won't be settled. So I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges, is maintaining that who you are on the inside, staying humble and centering yourself so that you can be all the things that you are to all people, as well as who you need to be for yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of anything else. So anyway.
Amen. That was like amazing. Yeah. I love that. Oh, so
I have a few things to add on to Dreama. You're spot on with it. It's incredible. Whenever I see somebody achieve and do these wonderful, successful things, the first question, well, first, I'm so happy for them. But then the second question comes, how do I achieve that? How can I do that myself? Like, that is so important that we have all of this useful information online in books, this, that, or the other things. There are so many resources that you don't, like, it used to be you have to go to university or you have to have this connection or that. No, there are so many resources in order for you to be able to look in whatever field opportunity you want to. We have YouTube, TikTok, this, that, or the other thing. And are you going to have some people who aren't the actual real deal or giving you misinformation? Yes. But if you spend 15 minutes a day, just 15 minutes a day researching into something you're passionate about or something you love to do, think about how much you would learn after a year of just spending that 15-minute time frame. So like setting yourselves challenges, which is hard as an entrepreneur, time management, like you touched on very quickly, Dreama, that is the most important aspect of making sure like you have some type of life balance, because work-life balance isn't a thing when you have so many X, Y, and Z's and businesses going on. But you have to be happy with what you're doing in order for it to continue to propel you, because most entrepreneurs will tell you, I work 70 hours a week, but it doesn't feel like work. So you touched base, you hit it 100% out of the park in terms of that. The other thing I would say is you spoke about like how you put good into the world and how you feel good comes out of it. I feel the exact same way. It's funny because I told my friends the 70-30 rule. And this is what I candidly believe. 70% of the success I achieve is due to my hard work, the dedication I had, the effort I put into it. And 30% of it is just like dumb luck. Maybe I was at the Starbucks at the right time meeting this person. Maybe I put good into the world and this was my kismet. I was getting back in terms of it. But 70% of my achievements are due to myself and the ambition I had and what I put into it. 30% are that way. And I are the good luck, and I'm just accepting and receiving of it. And then I looked at and have that mentality of my failures as well. Why did I fail? 70% of this failure of whatever happened is my fault. And 30% of it is just like poor luck, poor this, poor that. Like I'm never one to place blame in terms of everything, taking ownership for the actions and just moving forward, having that adaptability and that versatileness is really what's going to be key.
Yeah.
Yes. That's so good. Yeah, I think that's I'm glad that y'all both brought up some really good points with this. Like you know how DeAnna, you mentioned about like how there's so many resources in this day and age that like we can go to that like you know most people do probably expect, oh, you got to go through all these classes, all these trainings, and when reality at the end of the day that there is a lot that you can learn just from online, a lot of research that can go on to where that's one like beautiful thing about technology is that like there's opportunities to learn and to grow without even having to go pay for a class. So I think I mean definitely those classes, you know, can be good, but there's also good that comes out of like even YouTube, you know, even though most people may think of YouTube as, oh, like those funny videos or stuff like that. But like in reality, YouTube and Google, it can like take you really far within your journey with entrepreneurship. And I think that's, you know, a really good thing that you brought up. And like the 70-30 rule, I think is a good mindset to have as well. And then with Dreama, I love the attitude that you brought up about like wanting to become a millionaire by the time you're 30. And I love how you like changed it right away. And what like you went from like the if attitude to the when attitude. It's like it's not what if I'm gonna get to this goal. It's like, no, I'm going to get to this goal. I'm going to make that. And I'm not going to, you know, get to that goal by doing people dirty or anything like that. I think yeah, when you put good into the world, like, you know, what y'all both already mentioned, I think when you put good into the equation that like it's going to bring back good to you. And I think it's going to, you know, you're going to have a full like circle moment out of that. So I love that you bring that up, and also about like the struggles that come with like the maintaining, like, you know, that at the end of the day that people forget to realize that like the owner of a business is still a father, a husband, a wife, you know, mother, you know, so like people forget that like at the end of the day they are still human too, that like I mean like yeah, it's more than a 9 to 5 job, like you said. It's gonna be, you know, a 24/7 kind of thing where you do have to take calls in the middle of the night. There may be some hard moments without like adapting to that. So, you know, getting the hang of that. So I think that, you know, you both brought up some really good points. And another thing that I remember, Dreama, you mentioned earlier that I really appreciated you bringing up is like the humility of it all, is like, you know, not going into it with a big ego, because usually with that big ego, you may think that you can get to places faster. And I mean it's definitely good to have confidence in what you do, but like when you have like such a big like cockiness that like you're going to get there by like, you know, maligning people or doing people wrong, and like you said, you may get to that point, but like you're not going to be happy with like how you got there. Is almost in a way like you cheated your way there, like you didn't earn that. But like you may have that title of owner, but like you really didn't earn your place there. And like you're gonna have a lot of enemies, probably like all the people that you did wrong. So I think like just humility like that you brought up was like a really good thing as well, because not many people do think about that. They're like, you know, it takes you doing good, you know, to really be successful and to truly like earn your right as owner or as like an entrepreneur. So I'm glad that you both brought up some really good points regarding this. So I guess my final question that I have regarding this is I know we've kind of already brought up some like really good advice regarding this, but like if somebody came to y'all right now and said that they wanted to start a new business, but like I have no clue how to start a new business, what is like some good advice that you would give to that person?
I would say make a plan. I would say write down all your big goals, your wow, okay goals, and then make sub goals for each of those goals. Focus on the sub goals first and never look at the big goals unless you need to for inspiration. Don't look at them to intimidate you. Look at them to remind you where you're headed every once in a while. But for the most part, keep your head down and focus on those sub goals. And by the time you lift your head back up, you'll look behind you. All those sub goals will be rear view, and those big goals you set for yourself, you'll realize that they're also behind you and you're at the where you want to be. I think that also planning A, B, and C. So plan A is great, but if this fails, if this doesn't work out, what is my next plan can I do to keep going? If what I'm planning doesn't work out, you can't expect everything to go to plan, go to perfectly, because that's just simply not how life works. But you have to have a plan of how will I continue on and stay inspired even when things don't work out for myself. So I had put down plan for the worst, but expect the best. Always expect that something good's going to happen and that things will work out, but plan for if they don't. So don't plan on your downfall, but also, don't just not prepare for what might happen. Also believe in yourself against all odds, delusionally. And I mean this seriously, delusionally believe in yourself. Have big plans, have big goals, and really put real work behind that delusion. And anything you want, you will have. And that is just a fact. And you may not have it, like I said, the way you plan A, but whatever sub strategy you've made on plan B and C, you will make that goal. I think preparing people for people to change when you succeed is huge, because what a lot of people prepare for is for people to just be mean to them. They're like, they look for a red flag of like, I get successful and people are going to be mean to me. They're going to, change, whatever, completely. It's not that way. People will stay attached to you because they like the way it makes them look. To have a friend who's successful or who's doing things or who's out and about making moves, they like the way that it looks socially. But you'll notice they'll change the way they behave towards you. And I'm a very intuitive person, so I'll pick up on that. I'll never tell you, hey, I've noticed you switched up. Hey, I noticed you changed. But I will act accordingly. I will match your energy, but I won't match your disrespect. So I won't make comments. I will continue to support you. I will continue to want you to win. I will wish you health, wealth, and success, but I will withdraw my energy from you. And so what you have to actually prepare for is subtle changes. Like you'll just notice that people, when you were doing bad or when you were having a hard time, they were loving and they wanted to be in your life and they were super proud. And then all of a sudden you start doing better. And it's like, I think that a lot of people build their confidence around what you don't have. A lot of people build their confidence around where you're not at, feeling like they're a leg above you. And really, for some people, it's really sad. It can just be that they have a car. It can just be that they buy more groceries than you. It can be something so insignificant, but in their mind of the way the world works and how what they think is perfect, they think they've achieved that. And then you go and you have your own plans for yourself and you achieve them. And since their whole confidence was built off what you don't have, now that you have something, they've lost what they had. A lot of people will think, oh, well, she's pretty. Like, DeAnna, you have gorgeous hair. And they're like, oh, well, she has gorgeous hair and she's pretty and she's smart and she's, successful, but she doesn't have a car. Well, she's, she's pretty and she's smart and she's successful, but I mean, she's not getting as much business as she used to. Or, think that way. But meanwhile, like for me, I purposely stopped taking clients. I had people messaging me for months asking for me to do stuff, and I was turning people away because I knew I had to focus on finishing real estate school. So I know a lot of people thought or got in this mindset of, well, she's quit doing that now, so I can feel better about myself. And then I came back and I'd finished real estate school and like, no, actually, she's hustling even harder and she's going to continue to succeed. And it hurts people's feelings because when you can't build your confidence around someone else's downfall, you can't build your confidence on what someone doesn't have. And I think that when you stop looking at what other people have and focus on your own success, then that's how you succeed. And they don't have that mindset. So I think ultimately, expect people to change, but it's not always the most drastic thing. Prepare for that because it does hurt initially because you think, well, what did I do wrong? All you did wrong was succeed. And that's not wrong at all. I think succeed anyways and wish them the best. I think that's kind of where I'm at with that. They'll pretend to be, they will pretend to be proud, but they'll do it quietly. They won't do it in front of others. It'll be a DM. It won't be a comment. It'll be, a call, you know what I mean? Like, but their actions will prove to you how they feel more than anything, that they still think you're below them or want you to be, they want you to perceive yourself as below them. And my whole thing is let people think whatever they want, because the most satisfying thing ever is when you've let people think whatever they want and you pop out with a blessing and they had no idea you were planning, building to it and about to go through that. And they have to eat everything they said in private. And I think that's the biggest L, or not L for them, W for you. So yeah, I think it would just be that, and then to believe in yourself against all odds. Yeah. Go ahead, DeAnna. I'm so sorry.
No, I loved it. Like 1,000% agree with you, Dreama. You spoke a lot about your goals and creating short-term goals. So important. If you do not create short-term goals for yourself, you're going to be so overwhelmed by these long-term goals and ambitions, and you're not going to know how you can reach it. So write down your overall, whatever your overall goal is, have those short-term goals, have timelines though, have self-accountability, because life is going to get in the way. Things are going to happen with the family. Things are going to happen with your 9-to-5 job or your other hustle or whatever you're making. If you do not have self-accountability, you are not going to see the results. Another year is going to go by and it's going to feel like another failed New Year's resolution because you are not putting in the effort to yourself. So make that time. Don't have it. And again, it ties back to don't create excuses for yourself. One of my favorite entrepreneurial books or people I like to follow is Robert Kiyosaki. He is incredible. He talks about how it's funny because he talks about how getting a paycheck can actually turn off your entrepreneurial ability because you start receiving this incomes from corporations and 9-to-5 lives. And candidly, I had what felt like golden shackle. I still do. I make very good money in the insurance industry. And sometimes it's hard thinking about fully leaving that behind, even though I have other side hustles and areas that I'm investing and making good money. I'm like, oh, but I can still be doubling this by continuing to work or do this, that, or the other thing, because what's going to happen is you're going to see yourself continuing to essentially get used to whatever monetary or means that are coming in from your business, from your 9-to-5, whatever it is. Do not keep spending. Set yourself up for success. Invest that back into your business if that's your thing. If you're not working a 9-to-5 and you're doing it with whatever limited money you have, stay in that mindset too if you can. If you can move your business without having that liquidity or that equity per se into it, keep moving and keep yourself going, because that is what corporations rely on, is you getting this income, you getting used to this income, and then you continuing to come back for this income. Don't fall into that cycle early on. And then in terms of that, what I do want to touch base on is people who are sitting there yes, I can do this, but I have no idea what business I want to get into, because that's a huge thing, right? I don't know my passions. How do you find a passion in this world? So easy, right? It's so easy for everybody to say, I'm passionate about this, I'm passionate about that. If you don't try different things, you're not going to find what you're passionate about. So put yourself out there for new opportunities to be able to explore, find things you like doing, And when you find things you really like doing, look and see either A, what problem they can solve, or B, like how you can look to contribute positivity into the world by doing this, how you can create a business out of it. It's all about finding things that you like to do and then how you can monetize on it. So take a step back, try different things, think about it like that, and then proceed once you have an idea. You can run with so many different businesses that people tell you. There's things like vending machines, like washer and dryers, what's it called, delivery services, like all of these different things. Once you start going down the business avenue and you start looking at TikTok, YouTube, all of these different resources, follow what makes you happy, because once you find that niche, you're going to succeed. You're going to continue investing your time into it, and you're going to continue to flourish, and it's going to be amazing to see you transcend into that ability. But don't waste your time with, again, listening to the peanut gallery of people around you telling you what to do. It's different if they're a mentor in the same industry, but a lot of people are going to have a lot of different thoughts when you come to them with your ideas. So have confidence in yourself is the biggest key, is what I'll say there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, oh, my favorite slogan, I'll bring this up, is Nike's slogan: just do it. Do not self-doubt. Yeah, do not self-doubt yourself. Just do it. What is the worst that can happen?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, I love that. Like the way you ended that right there. It's just like, like basically, Dreama brought this up as well. It's like believe in yourself and yeah, just go for it. Like just pursue that dream and like don't even worry about the people, the peanut gallery, the haters, or even other people that are in your life that may just want to bring you down. That like Dreama said, that there may be subtle changes to like notice like people's energy is changing like when you are starting a business, and maybe it's getting successful, and maybe they are having some just like a bad attitude about it. Like maybe they want you to have a defeated attitude, but then once you change your attitude into like being really determined and having that victorious like attitude, like I'm going for it, I'm gonna reach my goals. Sometimes people may not want to see it because there comes like jealousy and stuff like that, and it can be very hard to let those people go, like we mentioned earlier. But it really, long term, it is, worth it, probably to lose those kind of people out of your life. So, and I know that y'all both brought up like long-term goals is like, I think that's a really good thing to have those, but that also, like I said, start with the short-term goals, start with like the small steps of like what it takes to get your business running. And also, like DeAnna said, like maybe you may not know what kind of business you want to go into, like just like basically dip your toe into like different areas and figure it out, like, oh, like I may like this area a little bit better than what I originally may have thought I was going to go into. And then just do your research, start looking at all the resources, and really just go for it. I think too often some people that may go into like a business could get overwhelmed because they're looking at step 10 and like didn't even start at step 1. Like they're maybe thinking like, oh, okay, I want to start a business, like I want to open a restaurant, and they think maybe it's just as simple as put your name on the front of the place and it's like you can become a business. But it's like there's a lot more that goes into it. There's like different like contracts, I'm sure. There's different like what kind of tables do you want to put in your restaurant, and what kind of restaurant is it? Is it like fast food? Is it like a buffet style? Is it like an actual restaurant with like waiters? So it's like it can be very, there's a lot of ins and outs and like little nooks in between like that, like people don't realize that like people may make a mistake and they just assume that I can get from step 1 to 10 without going through the other steps in between. So I can see how people can get very overwhelmed and like exhausted, and like maybe are it's becoming more of a bad journey for them than a good one, because they didn't start off on the right foot by just assuming that life is just going to give you everything right away. But it's like, no, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of like determination. So I think like blueprints, like plans, write down everything, like y'all both mentioned, is really good. And then And even like Dreama said, like, having a backup plan, there's nothing wrong with that. That like if your initial plan doesn't work out, have a backup plan behind that, that may be very similar, but there may just be a little bit of a change in there and that, you can still reach your goal of becoming an entrepreneur that way. So there's definitely no shame in like, admitting that maybe sometimes it doesn't work out the first time. Like maybe it does take more than one try. And I mean, I've definitely heard of like different people, celebrities or whoever all that like it, they may have not become successful until they're in their like 40s or 50s. And like maybe they've been pursuing it ever since they were in their like, 20s. Like right now, we're all in our 20s and, we may be pursuing different businesses and maybe thriving and all that, but it doesn't happen for everybody. So, a lot of patience and a lot of confidence can go a really long way. And like trying to jump from point A or point one to 10 without doing the in-betweens is never going to work out because you are not really putting as much I guess as much hard work into it. Like you're not really getting the work done. You're not doing the research and all of that. You're just want to just to almost say you're an owner. You just want to open a business and that be it. But it's like, no, it takes a little bit more to it. So I think that y'all both brought up some really good points. So before we do end this topic, I actually do want to give y'all both an opportunity if y'all wanted to plug any of your stuff in, whether it's social media or even if you want to just talk about like your business, like even if you don't want to share your social media information, so that maybe people will hear about it and think like, hey, I want to wish success for them. So I definitely want to give y'all both that opportunity.
So for me, I just wanted to touch on one thing was that you had said about God, pregnancy brain. Anyway, I'll plug myself and maybe it'll come back to me. Anyway, my photography and beauty business on Facebook is Dreama's Photography and Beauty, and my first name is spelled Dreama. So it would be the first name. So, and then obviously an S, Dreama's Photography and Beauty. And then it's the same thing on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Dreama23. And I haven't started my real estate page yet. I have to wait for my bar membership to come through so that I can put realtor on all my stuff legally. And yeah, so I'll let DeAnna take it from here until I can remember what I was going to say.
Awesome. Fun stuff. I'm definitely going to have to give you a follow, Dreama, because I always wanted to do a boudoir photo shoot. So one of these days I'm coming to you in terms of it. So I am actually like charting new ground is what I'll say. So in terms of my traveling, I've been traveling for probably a couple years now. I've been to quite a few different places. So I am transitioning like my personal social media aspects over to like being a travel influencer. And I've seen some wonderful success. I am one sign up person away from getting my next traveling, like my next planned travel trip completely free from the tour company I use, which I'm super excited to say because those are thousands of dollars, those trips that I take. So I'm happy in terms of that. I'm going to be expanding into like affiliate linking and websites in terms of that. And to follow me on social media. So I'm on Instagram and TikTok. It's DeAnna, DeAnna, Marie, Marie 122. So please go ahead and give me that follow in terms of it. If you want to see some amazing, unique sites and places and itineraries and what to do, it's been incredible. That's one of my passions in life. And then my other passion, on the other hand, has been investing. So I am investing in real estate. I actually have my first triplex property that I completely flipped and renovated. Yes, thank you. With my father, it was a fixer-upper. It was a lot of lessons, a lot of things to learn, but we did it. And my personal goal is for every 2 to 3 years to purchase another investment property, whether it's for long-term investment, short-term investment, and then for my protection as well, I look at making those properties LLCs to be protected from personal lawsuits, things of that matter. So I want to continue in terms of the real estate investing aspect. I also have my real estate license, but it is I'm currently in the state of New Jersey. I'm not actively currently with it just because I already have certain endeavors I want to focus on. But yeah.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm glad that y'all both got to share your social medias, and also it sounds like y'all both were going through a similar journey with real estate. I think that's, really cool that y'all are going into like kind of the same kind of area with that. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that y'all both had that opportunity. So I guess before we end this topic, do y'all have any other final words regarding entrepreneurship?
I did remember what I was trying to say earlier. I would just say that one thing that you touched on was that as far as like the things that you do along the way, don't be afraid to switch. I think DeAnna touched on it, and then you touched on it from where she did, about not being afraid to kind of start over or do something else. I totally wholeheartedly agree, because I've seen it work. Not only is it not a failure, and a lot of people kind of say that cheesy thing of it's either a blessing, a lesson, or whatever. It truly can be a lesson. And for me, it has been. I've been a dental assistant. I've been a hostess, a waitress. I've worked in finance. I've been a telemarketer. I've done it all. And so the whole thing is like, if I can make cold calls for other people and someone else to get rich and have passive income, then I can do it for myself. And when I worked at a finance company, I had to do some business to business in order to promote. So we had to pass out flyers. We would give out sticky notes, free pins, and things to other businesses. And they'd say, yeah, well, you have such a great personality and we love you so much. You can put your company's cards out on our front desk at the bank or whatever. So if I can do that for them, I can do it for myself. There are certain lessons and character that I learned at every single stop along the way that kind of that was an investment in myself that I didn't realize I was making. And those things all came together to give me the skills that I needed to be successful for myself. So never feel like you're failing if you don't stay at a job or in a certain career or in a certain field. You're supposed to be figuring it out. That's life. But just know that there will be something you take from that job that will help you for your final destination. And also never give up. You are worth every bit of the effort you put in yourself, and your future is worth every bit of the determination that you put through. No matter how many times you fall, always get back up. Focus on your goal and keep your eyes on it. Don't look around to see who's around you. Don't try to see who's under you. Don't try to see, oh, that person's not doing as well as me. Don't try to look up and say, well, they're doing so much better than me, unless it's to ask their advice because they're doing better than you, to watch what they're doing and learn. Never think of it as a negative thing. Focus on yourself and how you're going to get where you want to get, and you will succeed ultimately.
I love that, Dreama. I feel like you summarized it perfectly. The only thing I would add to that is have consistency. If you're not having that self consistency or that self accountability we talked on in the beginning, you're not going to it's not going to proceed forward, and you're not going to move forward because there's nobody there that's edging you on, that's motivating you. What helps motivate you in the morning? Like, is it watching a motivational TikTok? Is it watching a motivational YouTube? Is it taking 5 minutes to center yourself, to meditate? Whatever it is that helps you make sure you're being the best you and you're accomplishing what you can, do it. And then if you're not succeeding in that endeavor, are you in the right endeavor? Is this what you're passionate about? Do you like doing it? And again, not being afraid to change it up if you don't.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think that has to go without saying sometimes too, because if you're the kind of person that needs your hand held, you need to work on getting out of that, because there's no way, no one's going to succeed for you. So if you don't get up every day and want to do something, if you don't get up every day, have a plan, then you're just not going to succeed. So you really, there is no one that's going to come in and magically say, here's the opportunity of a lifetime. Here it is. I've done all the work for you. Open the door to success. You're going to have to travel there. It's going to take blood, sweat, and tears. It's going to take grit. It's going to take a lot of hard nights. You're going to cry some days. You're going to be overwhelmed. But you have to personally have that accountability of, I will succeed. I made these promises to myself and I will stay focused. And it's okay to fall and it's okay to be discouraged, but never, ever, ever be completely dissuaded from what it is that you know that you're going to do. That's what I would say to that.
Yes, absolutely. I think that y'all both brought some really good final points here as we're coming to a close. And I think one other thing that's actually awesome about this topic is that when people do think about like entrepreneurs, like they automatically think of like men. And I think that is awesome that like that we have this topic and that like y'all both signed up and that like seeing like the entrepreneurship stuff like from like a female's perspective. So I think that's really awesome, and I think that I think that makes what makes this topic even more interesting to me, because I feel like I can hear many men talk about it and it almost would seem like it's stuff that I've heard before, but like just hearing it from a female's perspective, I think that this is awesome, and I'm glad that y'all both were able to join. So I definitely appreciate y'all both being on this topic today with me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I said at the same exact time. Yeah, I love that. I definitely am glad that this is like a great way to end this season of my podcast, because I came out of this topic learning a lot about like who I am as an entrepreneur and like what I can like do some like research in and like strategize, and even like having like a more of a blueprint to the blueprint I already have and build upon that. So I definitely learned a lot out of this, and I'm so glad that y'all were both on this topic with me today. So this was like the perfect way to end this. So viewers, if you're watching this, I definitely appreciate y'all supporting with me throughout this journey as well. And or if you're listening to this on any of the podcast streaming platforms, I definitely appreciate your support there as well. So I do want to mention one more thing, viewers, before I leave, and that's I will be taking a short break during the month of May because I will actually be doing some traveling. I'll be going around the U.S. Just enjoying some trips, some vacations, and stuff like that. Going to a few different states and cities that I've never been to before. So, definitely, if you want to see that, you can go on my Instagram personal page at jvance615, or just on my Facebook page, Joel Vance. So definitely check those out. So I will be getting back on season 4 here in June when I start the recordings back. So I look forward to having people like Dreama and DeAnna back, along with many other people, to come back and talk about many more great topics. So anyways, everybody, I hope that y'all have an amazing rest of your day or night, depending on when you are listening or watching this. And I will see y'all in season 4 of Not Your Average Joel. Talk to y'all later. Thank you, everybody that took the time to listen to this episode of Not Your Average Joel. My podcast is available not only on YouTube, but also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast from. I also have an Instagram page where you can see outstanding moments, behind the scenes, and even a funny moment or two from each episode at Not Your Average Joel Podcast. If you want to get in contact with me, then my Instagram page is probably the best way to do so through direct messaging. I appreciate any kind of support that you have given to this channel, whether you are a guest or a listener to this podcast. Once again, I thank y'all so much, and I look forward to sharing more of my life with y'all on the next episode of Not Your Average Joel. Goodbye.